Kumo DTV, man, back with another one. And right now, things are heating up with this Greenland situation. So we're gonna watch a couple videos about this, see what they're talking about. It's a little back and forth between China and the U.S. And what I've noticed is, like Trump is making statements, but for China, their leader is not making any statements. They're having I don't know what the lady's position is, but some lady in the Chinese government is making all these statements. She is not saying anything about this. But let's get into it.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland. And we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way. But if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
We kind of already have Russia as a neighbor. Like, they're right across the pond in Alaska. And if it was to be a nuclear war, the nukes go over the Arctic. So, they're kind of right there no matter what.
And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that.
What? How does it not mean that they own the land if they had a boat go there 500 years ago and they claimed the land as theirs and they've been governing and managing that land ever since? What is this man talking about, bro?
That because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So
guess what? Those same things are in international waters off the coast of like every state in America. Like I don't know what he's getting at with this, but once you get into international waters, once you cross that border up into international waters, there's the same thing off of every coast of every state in America. The entire East Coast, the entire West Coast, anything in the South, there is Russian subs, Chinese subs, Russian ships, Chinese ships. They're in international waters doing whatever they want. No different than what they're doing in Greenland.
We're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
I have a question on today's meeting, Mr. President.
We'll take a few more,
I have
though.
a question on today's meeting, Mr. President.
Let me ask you more importantly, do you have any questions from the biggest?
For the American people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Marco?
Thank you, Mr. President. Not the President does. Everything President Trump does is with the American.
Why was the camera that's on the crowd such high quality? Like, and then these cameras that are always on them is like regular.
People in mind. It was not in the national interest or national security of the United States and of our people to have in our own hemisphere a country, not just with vast energy reserves, but controlled by an indicted narco trafficker who flooded our country with illegal immigration, including drug gang members, openly cooperated with drug gangs, and by the way, stole the wealth of that country to fund a repressive regime and also benefit adversaries such as Iran. All of that is now changing. The first phase, of course, is the phase we're in now, which is the stabilization phase. We did not want to see destabilization in the country. We're working as a reminder. It'll be a country that is well.
Thank you very much. Doug?
And in Venezuela, it was pretending to run the country, prosperity of the American.
Okay, I think that's it for the Greenland talk. But, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't know what he thinks this is. I guess America is back to being a colonizer because we're just gonna go take Greenland, I guess, because there's Chinese and Russian ships and subs off of their coast, which is the same thing for everywhere in the globe. Like, these people are everywhere, just like we're everywhere. Like, they fail to mention that we do the same thing everywhere else in the world. Like, I don't get it. It's just like, oh yeah, we could do this, but you can't. And then these are like formidable opponents. Like, they have high quality nuclear weapons. Like, they have high quality delivery systems. They can actually reach us. They're actually a threat. They are actually a problem when it comes down to it at the end of the day.
The Arctic affects the international community's interests. China's Arctic activities aim to promote peace, stability, and sustainable development in accordance with international law. The rights and freedoms of all countries to lawfully conduct activities in the Arctic should be fully respected.
The United States is pursuing its own selfish interests, so don't use other countries as an excuse.
Latin American countries are all sovereign independent countries with the right to independently choose partners. Regardless of how the situation changes, China will continue to deepen pragmatic cooperation with Latin American countries, including Venezuela, to promote common development.
Yeah, it's like we're just giving them the opening to criticize us for everything we criticize everyone else for. Like, we want to say, oh, it's 2026, we're past that, we don't do that anymore, that's not accepted in the international community. But then we do the exact same thing we say is not accepted when it's beneficial to us, but criticize everyone else for doing the same thing, even though they might have a more justified reason for doing whatever they're doing.
China firmly supports Cuba's national sovereignty and security, opposing external interference. We once again urge the United States to immediately cease its blockade and sanctions against Cuba and all forms of coercion, and do more things that are conducive to regional peace and stability. China hopes the Iranian government and people can overcome current difficulties and maintain national stability. We have consistently opposed any interference in the internal affairs of other nations and have always advocated that the sovereignty and security of all countries must be fully protected under international law, and we firmly oppose the use or the threat of use of force in international relations. We call upon all parties to take more actions that are conducive to peace and stability in the Middle East. We are closely monitoring the situation in Iran. As of now,
What I find amazing is that none of this is on American media. Like, every time I've gone, as you can see if you've been watching, every time I've gone and looked at something to do with China, it's always on the Times of India. Every time. Times of India, Times of India. Like, why do I have to get this type of information from the Times of India? Why is no one in America reporting on this or releasing this translated press conference? Like, they are speaking in English.
we have not received any reports of Chinese citizens suffering casualties there. Therefore, we will spare no effort to ensure the safety and protection of Chinese citizens in Iran. Taking this opportunity, we also urge Chinese citizens in Iran to monitor the local security situation, take necessary measures to ensure that.
Check this out. Completely wireless. Let me show you something real quick. This is my dash.
Activities aim to promote peace. Latin American countries are also in cooperation with Latin America, safeguard national security and interests, and fulfill international non-proliferation obligations. This is entirely a constructive role. After friendly consultations between the foreign ministries of China and Somalia, a conversation with Somali foreign minister, cooperation in various fields between the two countries.
China will, and I'm not letting that happen.
Cooperation in various fields between the two countries.
We don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to.
China and Russia have expressed zero interest in taking Greenland. Like, what is he saying, bro? Why does he constantly just pushes this garbage? Yeah, we don't take it, China or Russia will. Like, who's in your ear telling you that this is factual? They have expressed zero interest in taking Greenland. They operate in those waters just like we operate in those waters. Whoop-de-doo, big deal. I mean, they operate far closer to America than that. If it's such a concern, maybe you should, I don't know, like, have stronger borders in our waters or something that's closer to home, because they're right there. They're a lot closer.
Gonna let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you? Either like
Yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're gonna have Greenland.
Are you okay if that compromises NATO? If NATO effectively ceases to exist
I'm
in order
doing a great job. I'm the one that saved NATO. I'm the one that got him to pay 5% of GDP. Wait a minute. It was 2%, and they didn't pay. Now they're paying 5%. I'm the one that saved NATO. You wouldn't have NATO if I weren't president.
Would you pull the U.S. out of NATO? Would you consider doing that?
Well, maybe NATO would be upset if I did it. Maybe NATO would save a lot of money. But I like NATO. You know, I just wonder whether or not if we needed NATO, would they be there for us? I'm not sure they would.
Well, that's a question that's genuine, but if you want to go do all of this posturing around the world and doing all of this takeover, and we're going to take this and take that and do this and do that, you're setting the stage for a World War III. We need some type of allies in World War III, because these BRICS countries are going to be allies if it comes down to it. China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, maybe South Africa. I don't know. They hold a neutral position, but they're more BRICS leaning. Like those are just the big dogs, and then there's a bunch of other countries that are also involved. I think India as well, but I mean they're also someone who is neutral and works with both. But I mean they're over there in Asia. They are likely to side with those people. They have their own nuclear weapons as well. Like, and then what are we gonna have? What are we gonna have? Pakistan on our side if India goes ahead with BRICS? Maybe, or maybe they just stay out of it and live to fight another day. But if we back out of NATO, what allies do we have? Because our greatest ally isn't even the official ally on paper, so they're not going to be any help to us. I'm pretty sure that's the only alliances we have. I mean, I don't know what other alliances we have when it comes to militarily.
A stunning declaration from the White House and a warning that is sending shockwaves across the Atlantic. U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States will have Greenland. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump framed the world's largest island as a strategic prize, arguing that if Washington does not act, Russia or China will. He insisted the outcome is inevitable. A deal, he said, would be easier, but one way or another, Greenland will belong to the United States. Trump dismissed concerns from America's allies, brushing aside warnings that such a move could fracture NATO. He claimed credit for saving the alliance, mocked Greenland's defenses, and argued that military presence alone is not enough. His remarks have been triggering an alarm in Europe. Belgium's defense.
Okay, so outside of NATO, they have formal defense treaties with Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines. Okay, yeah, so yeah, that other video we did, they were setting up shop back in the Philippines. And then I guess Australia is also an ally. They're a Five Eyes country. South Korea, I guess they might join the fight against North Korea if it came down to it, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, just from stuff that I see, I think North Korea is like, I don't know. I think they might be, a lot stronger than South Korea. South Korea would need help once again. Like, South Korea only exists because we helped out during the Korean War. And then Japan, I mean, Japan is an island, it's kind of out the way. Their relations with China are wobbly, but I don't know if they would actually join. Australia and New Zealand, maybe they would join. NORAD, US, Canada. Canada, I don't know if they would actually join. Well, we don't have any formal military relationship with Israel. That is a lie. And Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Tunisia, Morocco. I'm pretty sure the only relationship we have with all of these people is that we give them some type of money or some type of protection. That's it. They don't even have Saudi Arabia up here, which we are supposed to be offering them some sort of protection. America is Argentina, Brazil, Colombia. Okay, yeah, right. They're not joining anything. Pakistan and Kenya. Afghanistan's designation was terminated. Okay. Taiwan. Well, yeah, Taiwan might, the GCC. Okay, so that has Saudi Arabia in it. Okay. So yeah, there's all of these alliances, but I don't think all of these people are joining the fight when it comes down to it. Most of these alliances are for us to help them when it comes down
Defense
to it.
Minister is now urging NATO to launch a new Arctic operation, a coordinated alliance response to rising tensions in the high north. European officials say Greenland's security must be handled collectively, not through annexation. Denmark and Greenland are pushing back hard. Both governments insist the island cannot be taken and that its future must be decided by Greenlanders alone. The backlash is also growing in Washington. Democratic senators are warning that any attempt to seize Greenland by force or pressure would be catastrophic. Senator Tim Kaine says Congress will stop it, predicting overwhelming bipartisan opposition to military action against a NATO ally. He calls the idea disastrous.
But will Congress stop it though? Or will they find another loophole like Venezuela? They found a loophole there. Are they gonna find a loophole with this one? I mean, there's no one in Greenland with criminal charges, but I don't know. The law is very, very tricky sometimes. There might be a loophole for them to act without Congress's approval.
Warning it would isolate the United States and turn allies into adversaries. Senator Chris Murphy goes further. He says a U.S. takeover of Greenland would mean the end of NATO itself, forcing alliance members into an unthinkable confrontation with Washington. European leaders echo that warning. They say Greenland belongs to its people, not to superpower ambition, and that any attack on a NATO member would shatter the alliance built after World War II. NATO's top military commander in Europe said the Arctic has now become a front line in global strategic competition. Speaking at Sweden's leading security forum in Sälen, U.S. Air Force General Alexis Grinkewich said there is no immediate threat to NATO territory, but warned that the Arctic and Northern Europe are increasingly contested. Grinkewich pointed to growing pressure from both Russia and China in the region, calling the area central to future security challenges.
I don't think there's an immediate threat to NATO territory right now. As new shipping routes emerge and new resources are discovered, the Arctic only grows in strategic importance. And all of this comes in the midst of an increasing hybrid threat: airspace violations, GPS and GNSS interference, and the Shadow Fleet in the Baltic Sea threatening underwater infrastructure. In short, the Arctic, and Northern Europe by extension, has become a front line for strategic competition. Mentioned as the ice recedes and there's more and more access up there, we certainly see Russia and China working together. We have had Chinese vessels patrolling with Russia, not only on the north coast of Russia, but also north of Alaska and near Canada. And like I mentioned in my remarks, it's not for peaceful purposes. They're not studying the seals and the polar bears. They're out there doing bathymetric surveys and trying to figure out how they can counter NATO capabilities on and under the sea. So that's something that could grow very quickly, and we need to be mindful of it and ready for it. In short, military cooperation in this region.
But like I keep saying, they're also doing these types of things off of every coast of every state in America. So what are we doing about that? Can't really do anything about that because there's no landmass there. They're just in international waters doing what they want. Oh, man. And then if they attack them or something, that's just going to create a problem, which they know, so they're not going to do.
Has never been stronger. Moving forward, we intend to expand our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, to improve our infrastructure and logistics for military mobility, and to strengthen our presence with Arctic-capable forces, many of those forces here in Sweden. With 7 of 8 Arctic nations inside the alliance, the other one being Russia, we will and we can get this right.
Diplomacy, for now, remains the stated priority, but Trump's words have reset the debate, transforming Greenland from a distant Arctic territory into the center of a global geopolitical standoff. What began as a question of security is now a test of alliances and a moment that could redefine the future of NATO itself.
Why were they showing Zelensky for? But yeah, man, this is starting to get heated. Trump is saying some, concerning things. Very concerning to me, like it's just very wild that he thinks we can just operate like this and move like this because of the power or strength we have when, strength is in numbers. If we cut off all of our allies or a good chunk of them, or if we cut off the allies that are actually willing to fight when it comes down to a fight, and that fight meets us at the doorstep, then what are we gonna do? If we're outnumbered? I don't think America can handle all of these other countries alone. I don't think America alone is just gonna, without it getting to a catastrophic level of warfare. I mean, the only way we would be able to handle all of these nations by ourselves, it would get to a catastrophic level of warfare. It would be a global catastrophe. So I don't know what Trump is thinking. I don't know who's in his ear or what's going on, but this is a pretty big concern of mine. I do not want our country to be doing all of this. We're going to take this or take that or do what we want around the globe. It's very annoying and scary. So that's it for this one. Kumo DTV everywhere. KumoCast on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Go follow. Share the video. I'm out.